from my thumb like the fawns. Woo, this beat tastes like lunch.
Alrighty, so up next we have an amazing woman. She's become one of my closest friends just in the past. I think I met her in November. I had an idea to bring this event to Ventura County, and honestly, I didn't have all the money in the world to throw it. And I just reached out. I basically posted about it, and a lot of people reached out to me. And Katherine was actually one of the people to reach out to me. And I had went to different radio stations, and I wanted to promote this event, but unfortunately, it was way out of my budget. And I wanted to give up. I was like, man, I don't have the money to put on something like this. And I was like, you know what? I'm still gonna try. I'm still gonna try to do it. And Katherine actually had reached out to me. She heard about the event, and I actually met her at Starbucks. And she's like, yeah, I'm all about women's empowerment. I like what you're doing. I want to be a part of this. And we connected. She really helped me get the word out there to bring everybody here. I really couldn't have done it without her, and she's been really my number one supporter, backbone, rock. She's done a lot for me, and not just with getting the word out there, but I know if I could call her and be like, man, if one little thing goes wrong, she always reminds me just to keep pushing forward, to keep staying positive, and she's amazing. And I didn't even want to look at a piece of paper, but I had to use bullet points because she just does so much. And you've probably heard her on the radio. She does the Rico and Mambo morning show, and she's usually highlighting what everybody else does in the community, giving them the spotlight. But I really wanted to put her on the spotlight because I really believe she's just amazing. And you might just get up here, okay?
I don't think anyone makes me laugh as much as you, Christina. I love you. Thank you guys so much for being here. Thank you for that introduction. I've just been fangirling out over everybody. Everyone has been so amazing. And everyone that I've met today, I think one of the most amazing things is everyone I've met has shared something with me about themselves. But I think the most amazing part of that is that we all have a story. And I don't even think we realize the power that lies in each of our stories. I'm a firm believer that our mess is meant to be our message, and our tests are meant to be our testimonies. You cannot have a testimony without having a test, the same way you cannot have a message without having a mess. It's part of the process. You don't get to jump steps in that. And I really feel that God puts us through things for a reason. He's not, bored on a Wednesday or something. We're meant to go through those things because we grow through what we go through. And sometimes we walk through the fire to show others that it can be done. That's my firm belief in that. So, I had an aha moment about a year ago because I feel like we're always feeling like we need to explain ourselves, explain our actions. And I was apologizing on I'm so sorry I made you feel that way. I'm so sorry that at the end of the day, if I know my truth and God knows my truth, who else do I need to prove anything to? Who else do I really need to explain anything to? And when you realize that, there is so much freedom in that because there's freedom in truth, and truth is power. Truth has become one of the biggest deals to me. Truth provides clarity. Truth provides, one of the things that I've realized when I was having my aha moment is I'm sure everyone, I won't make you raise your hand, but I'm sure everyone here has been lied about at some point. I'm pretty sure we've all lied about someone too, but I won't make you raise your hand on that either. But we've all been lied about at some point. And it's instead of feeling anger or resentment, I've come to realize that if someone lies about me, it's probably because they can't tell the truth about themselves. And when you realize that, you feel empathy for the person. They can't tell the truth about themselves. I feel sorry for you because of that. It makes me want to pray for you. So, one of the things that you realize with truth is that when you see someone doing those types of things, you realize the problem is with them and not necessarily with you. Don't get me wrong, I'm sure we all have problems too. So, I remember a quote that I read. It was saying, never let a confused person waste your time. Honestly, the quote was, never let a confused man waste your time. And I'm like, yes, but gender neutral, it's true. It can apply to anybody. Never let a confused person waste your time. And I remember thinking, accountability is a huge part of truth. How many times are we the confused person wasting our own time? I remember for like a year, I was praying for clarity. I'm like, oh my gosh, on my prayer card every Sunday, I'm like, Lord, please give me clarity. And all my little like prayer groups that we'd get in, I'm like, clarity. Like literally for a year, I was praying for clarity. They'd be like, do you want to elaborate? I'm like, read my blog, onairwithkat.com. And I remember I kept praying and praying for clarity. And it was like a year later, I'm like, okay, Jesus, I know you've been reading my prayer cards every Sunday. Like, I know you've been hearing my words. Like, what is going on? I knew what was going on. Again, accountability is a huge part of truth. I had the answer already. I was shown the answer. I didn't like the answer. And how many times do we stay stuck in confusion because we don't like the answer that we've been given? It's so much easier to be like, oh, yeah, I don't know. We do know. We do know. We just don't like the answer. So we stay stuck in confusion. There's, again, accountability is a huge part of that. Make being honest with yourself a priority. And if more than anything, if you've grabbed one of my cards, I don't have it with me. Oh, yeah, I do. It's right here. So please stop by my booth. I wrote some of my favorite truths that I really believe to be true. And one of the biggest ones that I wrote on there, if you have not yet learned to give both truth and love to yourself, you will always struggle in giving it to others. And I actually want to add something to that. Not only will you struggle in giving it to others, but you will struggle in receiving it because you cannot receive what you cannot give. If you cannot give those things to yourself properly and healthy, you cannot receive them from others. And one of the truths that I really love, and if you tune into the morning show, usually I always say it on Dilemma of the Day, is what you allow will continue. And it's so simple, but it's so true, and it can be applied to every single situation. What you allow will continue. I know that when I've talked to friends or I've talked to people, and when people are complaining about things that they've gone through, we come with our lists. Oh, they did this, and then they did this, and we come up with these mental lists that we have that we've kept track of, and then they did this, and I can't believe they put me through that. And I listen, but I always warn people, know that I'm coming from love, because could be a little too aggressive sometimes. And I always tell you, don't come to me till you're ready for the truth. And I mean, I feel sorry you've been through whatever you've been through, but my concern is not what that person did to you. My concern is, why did you allow it? Why didn't you love yourself enough to walk away when you know you should have? Why didn't you feel that you were deserving of more? That's where the key point is. Let's not worry what they did. Why didn't you love yourself more? And why did you let that continue? Why did you allow it? Accountability. That's the biggest part of truth for me. And it's part of the healing process. Healing is a return to truth, and truth is a return to love. And I firmly believe that. One of the things that happened to me, because again, truth is love. And what if we can't love ourselves, though? What if we're struggling in loving ourselves? We can't be honest with ourselves. I remember I was going through heartbreak, and I'll be so okay, never going through that again. And so I was sitting on my counselor's couch, and I was like doing the like Kim K ugly cry, like, and I was just not cute, and it was the like cry where you can't like barely talk. And I was telling her how I wasn't even heartbroken, I felt broken. That's how much it messed with my mental, where I feel like I didn't even recognize myself anymore. And that is one of the hardest parts for me. It was very hard because I've always known who I am. I'm very grateful. I've always had a very strong sense of who I am, what I want, what I like. And now I didn't feel just heartbroken. I felt broken because I couldn't recognize myself anymore. And I was like, oh, girl, please help me. I was like, and I'm like trying to talk to her, and I'm like, I used to love how strong I was, and I'm not this strong anymore. And she goes, Katherine, if you love how strong you are, you also have to love how sensitive you are. And I was like, oh, that's so good. And I was like, that is good. And maybe some of you are listening to something today where you're like, "Ooh, I like that. That's good." But it will make so much more sense in a week, a month, a year, because that line that she said, it hit me even harder once I continued in my healing process. And so, again, truth is a journey. It doesn't happen overnight. You don't wake up one day like, "Oh my gosh, Jesus, thanks. I found all the truth I need." It doesn't work that way. It is a process. And sometimes there's a lot of setbacks in that. I remember one of the things that I was dealing with is being honest with myself. You have to make being honest with yourself a priority. That is, if you take anything away, please do that. One of the scariest things I did was be very honest. I started a blog. Actually, it was a year ago on Thursday, On Air with Kat. And that was freaking scary because I don't think I had even been that honest with the people around me. And now I'm over here telling everyone, my journal experts are on there. Like, everything's on there. And I never thought in a million years I'd be doing something like that. But there's healing in truth. There's healing with sharing it. And here's the thing. You don't need to get on stage and share it. You don't need to start a blog. But there is healing in sharing your truth because it's not just healing for you, it's also healing for somebody else. Like I said, sometimes we walk through fires to show others that it can be done. And not only that, but some of the messages I got, the most popular blogs on my page are about pain. And I don't think we realize how much we hide the hurt or how much other people around us hide the hurt. The reason why those are my most popular blogs is because we've all suffered some sort of pain, but we walk around like we're fine. Again, we're hiding the hurt. And I don't even think pain is that big. It's actually a pretty good thing. I found some of my deepest truths through pain. I found some of the deepest parts about myself through pain. And I think I love when other people, I can see them finding their truths through pain. And one of the stories, I never share this because it gets me emotional. I have huge vulnerability issues, but that's another blog post. It's a whole nother blog post. One of the most powerful moments in my life was watching somebody else find their truth. And I don't share other people's truth because I really like to honor that. But I got her blessing. She's here, and I can't make eye contact. So a couple years ago, my parents were going through a really bad divorce. And it got really ugly, and it was just really ugly. My brother was living in another state. My dad was working out of town. So when they argued, it was over the phone. And so, before social media, like, I've always been a creeper. So I was there with, like, my glass, like, to the wall. It's what my grandma does. She taught me. And I'd be, like, there listening to the phone calls. I don't know why I felt like I needed to do that, but I did. And so my mom had gone in the other room, and I did my job, and I got my glass, and I'm chilling. And I'm listening to her, and she's crying. And she's raising her voice, but it's different this time. She's standing up for herself this time. She's saying, "I never thought I was smart enough, and I never thought I was pretty enough for you, and I never thought I was enough for you. But I'm the child of a king, so you can't talk to me that way anymore, and you can't call me those names anymore, and you cannot put your hands on me anymore." And I'm listening to this, and I'm with my glass, and I'm crying, and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, I'm so happy for her. Yes, girl." And so I'm so happy because not only is she seeing her worth, she's believing her worth for the first time, I think, in her life. Self-worth is a process. It doesn't happen overnight. She was in her 50s when it happened. And man, when those chains came off, she took off like Forrest Gump. Like, oh my gosh. She's been going that way ever since, and it's been the most amazing thing to witness and be a part of, and it has so much formed the woman that I am now. And I want everyone to know this. Nobody gives you value or truth or worth. Nobody determines these things for you. Those are God-given. You are born with that. Nobody gives you that. Nobody gives you the permission. You are born with this. That's God-given. And I think anyone who's hurting or who's in pain, please know that when you feel like you have mountains of pressure and whatnot, you are not being buried. You're being planted. You're being planted and you're about to bloom. And not only that, but you're not being broken down. You are being broken open. And the world needs you open. So thank you so much to Women's Empowerment Expo. Thank you, Christina Brophy.